Hi everyone, it's Sia,
And I'm Perry.
and today we're going to be reviewing the movie Parasite. This movie is a South Korean dark comedy thriller by director Bong Joon-ho, and this movie was released in 2019. And since then, it has gained a lot of interest since as a South Korean movie, it even won the Academy Award.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The movie basically follows the story of the Kim family. They are a family that are living in poverty and
Yeah.
they do not have a good financial situation.
Mm-hmm.
They live in a semi basement.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie starts off when the son in the Kim family, Kivu,
Mm-hmm.
gets offered a job as a tutor for a rich family's daughter.
Yeah.
Because his friend is living for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He enters the family and slowly he introduces his sister, the parents come. So basically, the Kim family infiltrates the Park family's home.
Yeah.
And they all get different jobs.
Yeah.
And the story follows the class difference between the two families and how it affects everything and their decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the themes of the movie. Do you want to start off, Barry?
Yeah, of course. So what I realized that the movie had a lot of themes, but the major one that I also chose to explore was social inequality and class divide.
Yeah.
I think the movie did a fantastic job at showing the social classes and how big the division is between them. Because for the Kim family, they were living in a semi-basement.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford food, electricity, anything like that. And the Park family was living in a mansion.
Yeah.
They didn't have to worry about money ever.
Yeah.
And I think it showed that there was really no middle class, especially in the movie.
Yeah.
And why it's even harder for people to achieve social mobility and go up the social hierarchy. One other theme I would say that I think ties into the class divide is that the movie really explored the complexity of human nature.
Yeah.
And I think you see this really well with the Kim family.
Yeah.
And I think the reason they were so complex as characters was because of their social status and their social reasoning. And it showed that what a person does when they want to survive and when they're desperate for something more.
Yeah.
So I really like that about it.
That's a really good point. And I think my theme definitely ties into your, and it is morality versus immorality. And I think I definitely understand the Kim's family when they're having the hope to getting better in life, and having the potential or the chance of not having to worry about food, money, stuff like that, right? And I think that's a very basic desire that we want to achieve in life. But however, I feel like the way that they achieved those things were definitely unethical.
It was questionable.
It was definitely questionable, and especially the parts where they had to cut their the original workers there, like the housekeeper, the driver.
Yeah.
While watching, I was like, oh, but is that okay? Because the peach allergy that was really deadly, and I was like, oh wow. And one of the moments that I really paid attention was the part where the old housekeeper was trying to come up the stairs from the basement, and Mrs. Kim just kicks her down.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and later on, she mentions that she thinks she has a concussion. And I'm like, wow.
And the fact that that injury ended up being what caused her death.
Death, exactly.
And I feel like what was more even interesting was how Mrs. Kim genuinely did not care.
I know.
He was so you could definitely see he was busy with his own situation.
Yeah.
So she did not care what she would do to other people.
Yeah, exactly. Like when she was kicking her down, her face was literally like, oh well, I don't care. So I think it's definitely unethical. And I think not only that, but I heard somewhere that when you're placed in those situations where you're really desired to survive, not like, oh, I want to leave every day, like I want to go shopping, not like that. Kim's family is way different, right? It's they're really worrying about the food they have to eat every day, the money they will have to spend. So I heard in those times your primitive instincts comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's so interesting.
yeah, exactly. So I think that definitely applies a lot with Mrs. Kim's situation, because I mean their whole situation. The Kims is really I wouldn't view their character as a mean or evil type of situation, but I still think there was much better ways that they could achieve, and because they dreamed too big, they ended up in a worse situation.
Yeah, I think that's it too. I think actually no one in the movie was like inherently evil.
Well, yeah, no.
Like the Park family, they had so much ignorance.
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
all of that, but they weren't evil. And the Kim family, they were just desperate to live for another day.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of like desired this respect that everybody had for the Park family, but nobody had for them.
Yeah, I think
which
so
made
too.
them even like do more things for that respect.
And
I think at the end of the day, like the main question is, where do you draw the line?
Right?
It's enough. Like you should stop now.
Yeah, exactly. I think this movie definitely leaves the audience with the question, so what is good or bad? You know, what is considered okay and not okay in situations like that? And I think that definitely depends on which situation you're placed in.
Yeah.
So if I was maybe in like Kim's shoes, then maybe maybe I wouldn't have any other choice.
Yeah, you never know until you're in that situation.
Exactly.
And I think the movie like showed that really well.
Yeah, it definitely represented the theme they wanted to achieve. So yeah, it was such a good movie that represented the good important themes in life, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the symbols of the movie. There were a lot, and I would want to start off with the basement, the semi-basement. I think it's a really big thing in the movie. Not only like, cause the thing is that like it's like the major motive of Mr. Kim's action in the later in the movie is the smell, right? The odor. And I feel like that also is created by the semi-basement. And even the Kijang in the movie says that it's the smell of the basement. You can't get rid of it until
like laundry detergent and stuff like that.
No, you have to go out of the semi-basement. But it represents how they can never get rid of it. You know, like, because even with the money that they're getting paid by Mr. Park's family, they cannot afford to move out of the house yet.
No.
Yeah, it's like no matter how much you struggle, it's their life.
Yeah.
You know, it's connected to them. And
they will always go back to it.
Exactly. And I feel like it definitely represents their major economic status, right? The size, the neighborhood, and I want to point out when Q first visits Mr. Park's house, the outside there's no sound. It's very silent. The only thing I could hear was birds singing, right? However, Kim's family's house, there's dogs barking, people going around. It's like those little things around the house makes everything represent their economic status. So
I think like with the Kims, because of how busy it is outside of their house and the whole neighborhood, it's like chaotic and it kind of shows their life. Yeah. But with the Parks, like they reach that stability, so there's no sound outside of their home. Yeah.
To add on, also, Bong Joon-ho has mentioned later that he specifically chose that neighborhood where it was going to like, I don't know, they were going to like demolish it or something. Yeah, he specifically chose that neighborhood because it seemed like the ghost town or something. Yeah, nobody lived in that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I think like the whole location of Kim's family, especially the semi-basement, that has represented a lot because they still have the hope of, we're not actually in the basement. Yeah. We still have hopes of going up, but it's still semi-basement where the sun never gets in. Yeah. So, and especially in Korea, when you say semi-basement or basement, it definitely represents, you're not doing that good in life, unsuccessful life. So, yeah.
I think the theme that I'm doing, the symbol that I really noticed was the rock.
The rock.
Was it called the Scholar's Rock?
Yeah, the Scholar's Rock.
So the rock was first given to the Kim family by Ki-woo's friend Min.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, this is," and I think the rock was also hollow.
Yes.
But throughout the movie, it held such a big symbol of hope for Ki-woo.
Yeah.
That, oh, like, I have this, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna end well for me because I have this like rock, and it's all gonna go well. And I think we see, like, out of all of the family members, he is the most attached to it.
Yeah, true.
Like,
he's
the
really
dad,
attached.
the dad doesn't care about it. He even says it. He's like, "Why are you so attached to a piece of rock?" Ki-woo even sleeps holding the rock. But I think they have the hope symbolizes the hope he has for the rock symbolizes the hope he has for future, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting how at the end of the movie, the rock is the only thing that hurts him. Yeah. It's what causes him the brain damage. It's what causes his life to change forever. And I think it's also interesting to mention the fact that Ki-woo was the only one that was attached to the rock.
Yeah.
And he ended up being the only one who was hurt by it.
Yeah.
Because the daughter, his sister, she was stabbed.
Yeah.
The mom, she didn't get hurt, and the dad, he went into the basement.
Yeah.
So I think everyone kind of like got their own like ending. Like, the rock was a shadow that was always following Ki-woo.
Yeah, I think
and because
so
of this huge hope that he had for the future, it like turned around and came back to him, and then ended up hurting him. And I think that was really interesting.
Yeah, and then I guess like because I definitely agree with what you said. I feel like for Ki-woo, like the hopes, right? The hopes he had. Oh my God, I'm gonna get successful, like with the Scholar Rock. No, like, because maybe if you hope too big, you get hurt.
Yeah.
You know? Because it's definitely something
unattainable.
Yeah. No, he couldn't do it. No matter how hard he tried.
I think that was one of the main reasons the Kim family was never be able to get out of the basement.
Yeah.
Is because they never wanted to get out of the basement and move to a regular home.
Yeah.
They wanted to get out of the basement and live in the park's house mansion.
Yeah.
So they never actually wanted to be middle class either. No. They were aiming too high, and I think that's what came after them later on.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, let's talk about the directing style of the movie. Do you want to start off?
Yeah, for sure. So the directing style, there were a bunch of things that I noticed.
Yeah.
But the main one was how much attention went into the details of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think with a lot of movies, what I find is that, because I'm a person that has a very short attention span.
Yeah.
So if there is a shot or a scene that is unnecessary in the movie, I will get distracted. Yeah. And I will at times even stop watching the movie for a while and then go on to it later. Yeah. But for me, this movie didn't have a shot or a scene that was unnecessary. Yeah. Like, every single one of them played a role. And I think at every scene you could find something that symbolizes something. Yeah. Or you could find a thing that related to the theme. Yeah. It was very interesting to me how much attention went into the details and how everything kind of overlapped. Yeah. And I think the amount of visual metaphors that were used enhanced the film's depth and the person's view of it. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, I watched it once, I got the plot, I got the characters, I can watch it again, and every time you will find something new in the movie, which I really like. Yeah. And I also really like how the director used lighting to show the two families. I think with the Kims, something that I saw often was that it was very cool tone. It was very, because like when you're filming something, there's usually like 3 tones that you use: blue, yellow, and like those kind of stuff. Yeah. And I think blue kind of gives that emotion. Oh, it's sad and all of that. And the Kims were like that. Like, their house was always very like blue tone. Their neighborhood was like that. It was very dark always. But when you went to the Park family, like, everything was always so bright and everything. Yeah. And something else that I noticed that I think was really genius directing style is that in the Park family, because of there were so many windows, there was always natural lights coming in.
Totally.
So they never actually had to put on turn on the lamp or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was always the natural lights coming in. But because the Kim family is living in a semi basement, and as you said, the sun doesn't shine on them. They cannot have that natural light, so they have to use like lamps and stuff like that. But what's even more sad is that they don't have the money to pay the electricity bills for the lamps.
Yeah, it's really sad.
I find that was really interesting.
Yeah, a good point. The movie was definitely visually pleasing. The one I chose is also in that sense. It's visual narrative, which is the architectural design of the overall movie.
Yeah.
In the Parasite, we see a lot of like significance through the architectural designs of the two houses. And the main theme of the movie is the economic status, right? And the difference of it. And we not only see that by the size of the house, but also one thing I want to point out is the stairs. And during the class, we talked a lot of the stairs and what it meant. And to point out again, the Parks family has to go up the stairs to reach their house, right? Not only is it uphill, so when Q was first building the house, like he literally had to go up.
Yeah, it was uphill.
It's uphill, very very high, and I think there are like several stairs in the house because he has to go to the stairs to reach the dining room and the living room, and there's another stairs for the rooms in the uppercase, right? So it definitely represents oh my god, like I'm going high every time, right? Like higher steps, higher economic status.
Yes, exactly.
And how about on the other hand though, like the Kim's family, they have to go down. There's so many stairs. After the rain scene, the heavy rain scene,
that came into my mind.
Yeah, there's so many stairs.
Even though it was insane.
It's like insane amount of stairs that they had to go down. So you can see the downhill of the neighborhood. And one of the reasons why it flooded is because it's so down. So I think there's so many connections through the movie that we can make because of the reason why they lead down.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are so many other factors that comes to play. So I think that visual effect of the overall movie was really big. So I wanted to point that out.
Like going back to the rain scene, as you also said, I think you can see the moment that Kivu realizes that their house is being flooded.
Yeah, because he stops,
he stands and he sees the rain like going down the stairs. It was insane.
I think so too. I think that was like a very emotional part for me. Like he was just standing there and like absorbing his neighborhood.
I think he knows that it's too late to go do anything now.
For sure. Yeah. So it was really interesting.
I like that.
Okay, Perry, let's talk about our favorite character of the movie. Do you want to start off?
Yeah. Going back to our tradition of talking about the character that we like the most. For me, I think the character was Kijung, also known as Jessica, when she infiltrated the Park's house. I really, really liked her character.
Yeah.
She is a daughter of the Kim family. I don't know if she's older than Kim or not.
I think younger.
I think she is younger based on like the way they talk about her school and her stuff like that. I think she because a lot of the time they talk about how talented she is, especially at art and like computers and stuff like that. But we see how like her talent is being wasted because they don't have these resources. And I think even though she doesn't bring it up, it also angers her that she like can do all of these things. But she can never do it for a good thing, for a good cause, because she doesn't have the resources to do it. And also when we see her interact with the Park family, she is the one who fits in the most.
I think so too.
And even from the beginning, like her first interaction with Mrs. Park, she takes control of the situation. She's like, oh, I cannot let you stay in the room. And Mrs. Park, even though she doubts it at first, immediately afterwards she's like, oh, okay, I accept it. And I think Mrs. Park gains this respect for her
Yeah.
that she doesn't have for Kibu.
Mm-hmm.
I think definitely she is the one that the Park family see at like the same level as
I think
them.
so too.
And she fits in the most. She struggles the least to act rich.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, even though she looks the most upper class, she has the most empathy for the other lower class people.
Yeah, I think
and
so
I think
too.
we can see this because there was the scene where the Park family is going on camping and the Kim family's in their house, and she's like, oh, but what about what happened to the driver that we like caused to get fired, or what happened to the old housekeeper? And immediately all of the three other family members are like, oh, why are you worrying about them when we are in this situation?
Yeah.
Like, even though she looks the most upper class, she has the most empathy for them. And she also keeps worrying about the housekeeper and the stuff like that. She offers to bring them food and go check up on them.
Yeah, exactly.
While the other family members really don't do this.
Yeah.
And I think she is really good at keeping her composure and hiding her emotions. Like, I think throughout the movie with the Kim family, we see each of the family members have an emotional moment or an emotional outburst. She's the only one who doesn't have it. That is until she gets stabbed.
I know.
And I think for the first time you see her being afraid and being vulnerable. When she's like, oh, dad, it hurts, just stop. Like, putting pressure on it when the dad is trying to save her. And I think in her mind, she already knows that this is over.
Yeah.
Like, all of this was for nothing. And she just wants to go peacefully without having another extra layer of pain on her. And I found that so
it's really emotionally sad. It really made me cry at that moment.
Her death scene, I think, was because she kept being like, oh, dad, like, please don't do this. It hurts me so much.
I know.
And you can see the dad being conflicted of like, oh, I want to protect my daughter, I can stop this, but I think a part of him also knows that, oh, it's way too gone now, let me just let her go peacefully. And I think that's so sad.
I think so.
She, in a sense, gets punished for her family's moral wrongdoings.
Yeah, I think so.
And she also kind of gets punished for being fitting in the most.
I think so too.
I think that was really sad.
Yeah. And the character I chose is Q, also known as Kevin. He's the son of Mrs. and Mr. Kim, and he's friends with Min, right? And something I would point out is that, like, Min is a very successful friend of him, and I feel like that must have had a lot of impact on him.
Yeah.
You know, because he like comes to the house, but he has to see the house they're living in.
Yes.
Yeah, like, because
he must feel so ashamed there.
Yeah, exactly. Because no matter how close you are to someone, I feel like you always have the moment where you want to hide your certain things, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like him going through the poverty and hardship is something you never want to show to a friend. And also, it's just that, like, the way he tries to lie about his educational achievements in the movie is
so
really
bad at it.
He is really bad, but because, like you said, Jessica gains a lot of trust and, like, the respect from Mrs. Park, right? But I don't think he gains that from Mrs. Park, because the thing is that she says, like, when he's getting paid for the first time, she actually takes the money out and still says, oh yeah, I've, like, put some more because of the inflation in the world and the society. She says that, but no, she actually takes the money out.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's not getting as much pay as Min, but so I don't think he's that good at fitting in.
No.
And this is also the where the question comes from, because during Dasong's birthday party that Mrs. Park throws, he asks the girl, the rich girl, do you think I fit in? And I think that it was a very short line, but that had a lot of meaning beyond it.
I think it summarized his character really well.
I think so too.
That he tried so hard to get to this point of being with them, but when he goes with them, he realizes that because of his backstory, he will never be able to fit in.
Yeah, exactly. And this fitting thing also comes into play with the raw that he receives, right? Because we talked about the raw. And he has a special attachment to this thing, but no, because of that he's getting hurt. So I think in the movie Hugh is portrayed really well, because even though he tries, there are some moments where he's like, oh, I don't think he's doing that well. You know, his characteristics and everything comes to a play. So he's not like he's never gonna be successful. He tried, but he ends up being hurt. So I think he kind of had the similar steps with Jessica, but they ended up in a very different way, right? And like you said, Jessica knows how to do these things, but I feel like he who tries, but is never good at it. So I had like some type of very sentimental like emotion towards him. It was really sad, like him going through those things, you know. So yeah,
what was our favorite characters?
Yeah. Let's talk about our personal opinion, the rating of the movie. What do you think?
This was my first time watching the movie. Like I had heard so much about the movie, and I am a person who likes watching movies. But this one, I think when it first came, like I really wanted to watch it. I just never got the time, and after time went by, for me, I was like, okay, like I didn't watch it then. I'm not gonna watch it now. But when I watched it in class, I really, really enjoyed it.
Great.
I loved it so much. I loved the theme. It was nothing that I expected because I literally had no expectation of the movie. I didn't know the plot. I didn't know anything. But I liked it so much. I liked how the families were portrayed. I liked all of the characters. Even like characters like Mr. Park.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like them, but I enjoyed watching them on screen because of how interesting they were.
Yeah.
And I think the plot and the themes of the movie, like the class division and like infiltrating like a higher society, I guess, it's something that I've seen a lot before. But the way it was portrayed in this movie, I liked it the most because I think it was very real and it like resonated with me really well. So overall, yeah, to me, like there was nothing that could have gone better. It was not boring at all. Like the twist, it was so amazing. I could never see it coming.
I know.
And I remember like after the first day we were watching it in class, I was trying to guess what happened, and you were telling me there's no way you're gonna know.
I know.
And I was annoyed at it because I was like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I remember like thinking to myself like all of the possible scenarios.
But you could never guess.
I could never guess. Like the old housekeeper coming back, never. I think also because like at the beginning she was shown as so insignificant.
I know.
And then she comes up and like changes the whole story. I loved it so much.
I know.
For me, it was a 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. Okay. Okay, so for me it was my second time watching this movie. And I don't know when I watched it. I don't remember, a few years back. So when I watched in class, there were so many things I was like, oh, was there that scene in there? I completely forgot about it. And even though it was my second time, and I never watch movies twice.
Yeah.
I have this thing where like I feel like I can remember those things, so I don't want to watch it. But this movie, there were so many things that I feel like I missed, and I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun watching these movies in class, and I also because I feel like after the movies we all share our thoughts, right? And there's like so many new thoughts that I have like not thought of it. And I was like, oh my god, this is so fun. And I also think it did a really good job in portraying what he wanted to portray. The class division and like the theme of like struggles and one being happy, everything. And at the end of the movie, nobody's happy. You know, everyone has to go through something.
Everyone is sad.
Yeah, everyone's sad. So it was somewhat fair to everyone because everyone just ended up being sad.
Like, surprisingly, I really like the ending of the movie.
Me too.
Because even though there were like some like unloose ties, like we don't know exactly what happened to the Park family, like with the son and the mom, and if the dad actually died. I think he died.
I think so too.
Yeah, but I didn't feel sad that I didn't know. I feel like because there were so many other things. I actually really liked the ending.
And then the thing is that with Mr. Park getting stabbed by Mr. Kim, right? Something is that like it's really sad, and it was really also unexpected that he killed him. But also I heard somewhere that talking about someone's odor or smell is the worst thing you can do to a human being. It's the most embarrassing and a shameful thing that you can say to anyone, right? But Mr. Park never really I feel like he never really did it in front of him, but I mean, he was underneath the table and he didn't know, so that just got brought up. But the fact that they casually talk about someone's smell, I was really like, oh, but I don't
and
think
it's
I
just
can.
like brought up more than one time.
More than one time,
and
exactly.
it's also in their actions, like they cover their nose,
Yeah.
they pull down the window. So I think these, they think, oh, he won't notice.
Yeah.
But he clearly sees you.
It's
rolling down the window.
Yeah, exactly. It's really bad. So I feel like I somewhat relate to Mr. Kim's action.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it can never be justified, but
it can be understood.
Yeah, it can be understood. So I think the ending was perfect. The plot was perfect. The characters were great. Oh my god, their acting skills were so much, and all of the little lines that they talk about.
The dialogue, I
loved. One of the dialogue I really enjoyed is that, oh, if I had this much money, I would be kind to you guys too. Like, it's just like I've never thought of that way, but
it's a very true statement.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so I also give this 1 5 out of 5. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this movie, and as a Korean, I'm very proud that like our country is capable of making this movie.
You should be.
Yeah, and it's that like everyone, all the world is enjoying it. Yeah, it's very really grateful. Yeah.
So guys, this was our review of Parasite. We hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We're gonna be back soon with the review of the movie
Lord of War.
Yeah, and we just have to film that in a couple of days, and we will post it. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we will see you later.
Bye, guys. Bye. I am becoming immoral and taking out my primitive side.
We tried to record the theme part 3 times. Every single time. It doesn't load.
And I'm not gonna swear in front of the camera, but excuse me, I am talking about the same thing over and over again, and I'm memorizing that in my
mind. I'm tired of talking about the class division.
I wanna stop. And for some reason, my phone is keep recording and connecting to my Mac.
It's so creepy.
So, now we're gonna get our brains fixed a little bit and then start recording for the same thing 3 times. So, great! Why?
Song in the back.
And it's
Minutes till announcements.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end this really quick. Just continue what you were saying.
Okay, so I
View of the movie
Children of Men.
No. We are gonna be